Hey everybody, it's Allison with the Zionsville Chamber of Commerce, and today we are here with Lindsay. Lindsay is representing the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we are really pleased to have her with us. We are going to be talking about COVID-19 relief options and what programs might still be available for your business. Lindsay, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here with you this morning. A little rainy and gloomy outside, but hopefully that'll bring us some spring flowers. So
That's right.
So it is May 17th. So keep in mind, all I'm talking about is current as of this morning. So it could change. So I've shared my screen here. Can you see the SBA page, Allison?
Yep.
Okay, so if you come to sba.gov and find our COVID-19 relief options, that's where you can find all the latest info, if you're tuning in later. So what we've been focusing on at the Small Business Administration, so we're a federal government agency, and probably what most people know us for lately is the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, that was designated to keep workers employed, but also provide owners compensation for sole proprietors and things like that. So PPP at this point, as of May 17th, has pretty well run its course. We exhausted the funding that the traditional banks and a lot of the larger lenders had access to. The only funding we still have available for PPP is for our smaller lenders. We had set some funds aside for them. But it's going to be pretty hard at this point to find one of those smaller lenders in Indiana. I was only aware of a couple and none currently with a central Indiana footprint that have PPP options still available. However, if you do want to see, there might be some national smaller lenders out there who might be able to touch Indiana. So if you do want to just make kind of a last ditch effort to try to find those, you can come to our lender match. This is a free online pairing tool that you can use to find SBA approved lenders. So that is what I would recommend if you are still considering PPP, if you haven't already. The other big program we have is our COVID-19 Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And that is PPP is technically a loan, but it's forgivable if you spend most of it on payroll. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL, is not a forgivable loan, but it does have very favorable terms. So it's a 30-year term at 3.75% interest for profit and 2.75% interest for nonprofit. So this is for operational expenses, your normal business costs, not for expansions or anything like that, or real estate acquisition, but just, to help you pay your bills, if your revenues have suffered because of the pandemic. So both of these programs, PPP and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, aren't really designed for newer businesses. For PPP, you have to have been in business as of February 15th, 2020. And for EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, as of January 31st, 2020. So, but if you fit that category and you haven't taken advantage of the EIDL loan yet, that's another option for you. And, while it is a very long term, 30 years, there's no prepayment penalty. So you can start making payments on it or, pay it all off at your leisure. So the next one is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And this is obviously for restaurants, but also for caterers, food trucks, breweries, those types of food and beverage businesses. But if it's a food and beverage business that does a lot of wholesale or something like that, this program isn't really designed to fit that category. So we recognize that the restaurants and those other types of businesses that are used to having patrons come into their establishment and sit down and have a meal or have a beer, those are really the types of food and beverage businesses that we are trying to target through this program, since we had shutdown orders or patrons might not have felt as comfortable coming in to be on site. So this is really those food and beverage businesses that have on-site sales to the public, but also like caterers, because obviously events haven't been happening.
Right.
So we do anticipate, so this RRF program opened May 3rd. And what's probably going to happen is that all the applications currently in the queue will end up exhausting the funding that was allocated. But we are hoping that there might be additional funding allocated by Congress after we exhaust this first round of funding. So if you haven't applied for RRF, I would recommend going and applying. You know, even if the funding runs out, you'll at least get your spot in the queue that way, so that if additional funding comes around, you'll be in there. And the Restaurant Revitalization Fund is a grant program, so no expectations of having to pay that back. The Shuttered Venues Grant is also funding that you don't need to pay back. It is for live events venues. So as long as, you know, hosting or promoting live events is the primary business, then this program is designed for you. So, you know, if you're a coffee shop that sometimes has live performers, that, you know, having the live performers isn't really your primary business. Running the coffee shop is. But if you know, have a theater or a comedy club or a movie theater or something like that, that's really what this program was designed for. So those options are still available. The SBA debt relief is if you already had an SBA loan, we were making principal and interest payments on your behalf. So that probably applies to a more narrow crowd. So this is where all of our COVID-19 options are. But we have been seeing an uptick in our normal SBA loan programs as well. So we have delegated loan programs. So SBA is actually not the lender, we're the guarantor. So similar to like a VA loan or an FHA loan for a home, you still go through a bank or a credit union to get the loan. And if the lender wants some added security on loan, then we'll step in and provide a government guarantee to help shield the lender and make them more willing to extend the credit. So, you know, as PPP has kind of really slowed down, we have seen an uptick in those programs. And so you can find SBA lenders at using our lender match tool. Or if you've got, you know, existing accounts with a bank, you know, you can start there and have a conversation with them. So if you are going the loan route, I definitely recommend having a business plan and some financials together. So we operate mostly on cash flow basis. So we want to see some projections. And I know that might be hard in this, you're still kind of in this pandemic environment. So we do have some counseling organizations. They are SBA grantees who provide no cost one-on-one business counseling. So for the Central Indiana area, we have the Indianapolis SCORE chapter, and these are volunteer mentors. A lot of them have owned businesses or have subject matter expertise in banking or in marketing. So whatever you're looking for, SCORE is a great organization to get feedback on your business and what kind of funding options might be out there. And also, so my SBA office covers the entire state. We're not always 100% in tune with what local funds might be out there. So these resource partners are a great place to check and see what local loan funds or grant funds might be out there. So in addition to SCORE, we have the Indiana Small Business Development Center, and the Central Indiana SBDC is hosted by Butler University. And they also provide that one-on-one business counseling, and they are really strong with market research. So they have access to a lot of high power data sources. So if you are trying to work on your business plan and determine what your competitive advantage is, or trying to work out your pricing, these folks are really strong at helping you find out what others are doing and kind of, you know, base your decisions on that market research. Finally is the Central Indiana Women's Business Center. They are located at the Indy Chamber, and they don't exclusively work with women-owned businesses, but that is their focus. So they are another great option for that counseling, and also they provide a lot of networking opportunities for women-owned businesses. So I definitely recommend reaching out to them. Our SBA microloan program is still an option, and we have 2 SBA microlenders that can lend up to $50,000. Sometimes they can be more flexible than a conventional lender. So the Indy Chamber, the Business Ownership Initiative, is actually one of our micro lenders, as well as Bankable, based in Anderson. So if you are, especially if you're a newer business, or just need some additional support, or maybe there's one aspect of your loan application that is lacking, like whether it's your credit score or what have you, these micro lenders can be a little more flexible in providing financing up to $50,000. So that is kind of the SBA, what's going on with us right now. So there was another option I wanted to mention. It is not our program at SBA, so I'm not the expert on this, but I do just want to bring to your attention the Small Business Restart Grant at the state of Indiana. So again, not really designed for the newer businesses. You can read through the eligibility requirements here. So I think you have to have already been in business. Yeah, there it is, as of October 1st, 2019. But another place to look if you were in business prior to the pandemic and your revenues have been down. This is one of those funding options that you wouldn't need to repay as long as you spend it how they would like you to. So the main point of contact for the Small Business Restart Grant is the Indiana Small Business Development Center. So here again is their contact information. The state of Indiana also has a hospitality grant program. I don't have it up here on the screen, but it's somewhere here on this backontrack.in.gov webpage. So maybe if we go back here, I can find it.
I think it's right up here at the top.
So there it is. Oh, good eye, Allison. Thank you. Yeah, and here it is too, Hospitality and Entertainment Grant. So in addition to the Small Business Restart Grant for businesses in all different industries, there is additional grant funding for the hospitality and entertainment industry. So I definitely recommend looking into the eligibility requirements of these programs as well. So Allison, I think
that was great.
That's where we're at. So stay tuned, because as you're all aware, we've seen a lot of new legislation coming out every few months. So if you want to stay up to date on what the SBA options are, be sure to visit our website, sba.gov.
Lindsay, thank you so much. You were so helpful, and this was just what everyone needed to hear. If you have questions, again, please reach out to sba.gov. And again, like she said, pay attention to what's going on with the SBA or the state of Indiana for eligibility for potential other options of funding that might be opening up. Thank you, everybody, for watching this.